Friends, welcome to our pre-service trip, virtual service trip planning session. I'm Reverend Jack Perkins Davidson. You can just call me Jack. I'm the senior pastor at Spring Glen Church, and I'm so excited for this radical new thing that we're trying this summer, and I'm so glad that you all are signing up to do it. Andrew, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Andrew Wicks, and I am the Director of Youth Ministry and Special Missions at First Church of Christ in Glastonbury. And I also actually own a business that puts on virtual mission trips. And so I'm really excited to be here this week and bring some of my expertise and knowledge to doing this interesting new thing at Silver Lake.
Yeah, and so the basic model for this is we are going to Monday through Friday be sending out some intro videos for you all to consume and check in on and sort of set the tone for what we're doing for the day. And then we'll have like 3 to 5 different activities for you to try out. Some of them will be, a lot of them will be learning opportunities. Some of them will be videos. Some of them will be readings. And then some of them will be like hands-on activities that are either hands-on learning or hands-on service work. And then we'll come together at the end of the day and really think through what sort of we was illuminated for you and what you experienced each day about what the various topics that we're going to be covering.
Yep, and we will do nightly check-ins live over Zoom. And so there'll be some information coming out about the timing of those. And everything that you need to complete the week should be accessible on the Silver Lake website. And that link will also go out to folks prior to the conference starting. And then you can just follow along with each day, do the assigned different work projects. And it'll certainly be a little bit different than your traditional mission trip for those of you that have been on one. But it's still going to be a really neat time of community and of service and of learning, just like our traditional trips.
And so if you have any questions, either the youth who are participating, the conferees, as we call them, as we call you young folks participating, or if the parents have any questions about the logistics or the content, then you can email me, Jack at springglenchurch.org, as well as Jen Cronholm-Clark, who is the program director at Silver Lake. Her email is Jen with 2 N's, JENNKC at silverlakect.org. And we'll make sure to get back to you with those questions. We'll also be sending out sort of a survey monkey for you all to fill out to help us get our minds around what logistical things will work best for you in terms of transportation that you have available to you, comfort level with going out in the community versus staying at home, as well as preferred time for the evening check-ins that we will be doing each night, so we can try to make sure everybody is here. So it's not just Lillian and us. We're so grateful for Lillian for showing up tonight. With that being said, Andrew, I don't have the agenda in front of me right now.
Talking a little bit about expectations.
Yeah, take it away.
So we have some pretty basic expectations. The first is that if you sign up, that you are committing to be part of our group and to participate through the week. And we know that things come up along the way, and especially when you're at home, maybe you have a doctor's appointment or, you got a family event or something. But to the extent that it's possible, we would like to make sure that everyone is doing all the activities each day, and then also taking the time to be with us for each of our evening sessions when we get together and debrief. A couple other things that are important. When we use Zoom, the chat function is going to be a helpful tool for us to kind of store ideas and hold some conversation, maybe for some of the games that we play. But important to know that we're treating the space just like we would treat our church or our time at camp. It's a place for respectful dialogue and treating each other with common courtesy. Ask you to keep side conversations to a minimum, and just know that at the end of a Zoom call, we do get a transcript of all the messages that are sent, even direct person-to-person messages. So, for example, if Lillian shoots a message just to Jack that says, "Boy, Andrew looks like his face is just kind of funny looking. I don't like looking at it. Right? I would see it at the end, and then my feelings would be hurt. So just want to let everybody know that in advance that we're asking you to be responsible with the various tools that we're using. The other piece that's important is a covenant. And as many of you know, and many of you are experienced Silver Lakers, we often include a covenant as just a way that we are all going to agree to behave and interact with each other throughout the week. And we want to base our covenant for this particular week on the Silver Lake loves, which, as you guys probably know, are to love God, love your neighbor, and love yourself. And so we want to use that just as the basis to understand how we're going to interact with each other, how we're going to treat each other, how we're going to treat our faith and the world around us, because we are going to be tackling some tough issues during the course of our week. So trying to count on that as the foundation for everything that we do and the way that we agree to treat each other throughout the week. Jack, do you want to talk about charity and justice and equity and equality?
Yeah. So with all of that in mind, we wanted to sort of dive in and start your brains thinking about what we're doing this week. And the way we're going to be doing, so I wanted to show you a quick video that sort of helps explain that a little bit, if I can figure this out. Did that work? Can you see the video screen? All right, I'm going to take out so you can hear the video. And so take a listen.
I want us to look at the source of all of our problems. There's a story called Upstream and Downstream. This is how the story goes. In the story, there's two towns. One's called Upstream, one's called Downstream, and there's a mighty river that goes between them. And the people in Downstream, they live happily. But one day, they look in the river and they see somebody and they're drowning. And the person shouts, "Help, help me, help me." And the people of Downstream, of course, jump in and they help that person. But a week later, they see someone else into the river. And that person in the river, they save that person too. And then once a week, there's someone in the river. So the people in Downstream, they organize, they raise property taxes, and they do everything they can to save more and more and more people. But then there's someone in the river every 3 days, then every 2 days, and then twice a day. So they build a hospital at the side of the river to save more and more people. They need to save all these people who are coming to Downstream who are drowning. And then there are more people every day. And they save as many as they can, and they save people beautifully. And the people of Downstream are tired, but they save people day after day, and they get better at saving people. But there's one thing. And the people Downstream never do this one simple thing, which is they never ask, what is going on upstream? And unless we know the cause of our problems, we're only going to be treating the symptoms. Unless we look upstream and we see what is causing our problems, what is getting us angry, what is keeping us from being kind, until we look at that, we're never going to stem the flow of all of our problems.
Cool. Let me just plug back in here. So this story about the river and upstream versus downstream is one that's used a lot to explain the difference between charity and justice work. So I'd love to discuss with you all when we're finally able to all be together online this concept of justice versus charity. Which one? So charity we normally think of as providing immediate help, immediate relief, immediate needs. Justice we think of as helping to fix the roots or the system that create the need and the inequities, the inequalities of our world. So which of those, either of you can answer this, which of those do you think is charity upstream or is charity downstream? Yeah, go ahead, Lillian.
Downstream.
Downstream. Yeah, right. So they're doing really good work. They're saving people. You know, all of these people would have died if they hadn't been doing all that downstream work. But so what happens when we go, which is justice, upstream or downstream? Yeah, go ahead.
Upstream.
Upstream, yeah. So the idea is that a lot of times traditional service trips do the downstream work. You know, we're cooking for soup kitchens, or we're painting at orphanages, or we're, collecting food and providing the immediate needs. What we're trying to do this week, especially since we can't go to those places and do those activities, is to take this time to go upstream a little bit and find out what's happening upstream. Why are all these people in the river? Why is there homelessness? Why is there hunger? Why is there a whole bunch of people out there who don't have what they need and who are treated less fairly than others? So our mindset for this program needs to be rooted in that sort of upstream work, while understanding that the downstream work is still important, but the downstream work is just inevitably going to exhaust us and is going to mean that we're accepting that there are people still getting thrown in the literal and metaphorical rivers. So that's the work that we're committed to and the framework that we're committed to. So some of the work that I mentioned, right, I said there's going to be hands-on activities, but there's also going to be learning, because before we can help the people who are in the river, we have to find out why they're in the river. We have to find out what is happening in the world, because sometimes people jump in head first trying to enact solutions without having done the learning to find out what the problem is. And it's really hard to fix a problem when you don't know what the problem is. And sometimes that means we're just creating more problems than we had at the start. And we can do the equality versus equity thing at one of our evening debriefs. So we'll hold that and just go ahead now to the next step.
Sure. We were going to talk about some of the topics that youth are finding their own passion about. I know we explored some of that at the last session where we were able to get together and talk a little bit about what the trip would entail. Mm-hmm. Is that something that you think we should hold until we have all of our participants in one place so we can dive deeply into the issues that all of us are passionate about?
I think we can introduce it now, and I'll include it in the survey that we send out so that we get some feedback ahead of time.
Sure.
Yeah.
Just to acknowledge that each of us comes with a passion for our own types of justice, our own issues that are important to us. And so during the course of our time together, we're going to be asking you to investigate what are the issues that you're passionate about, and then what experiences have you had that drive your passion for that justice issue. And one thing that's really critical to understand about justice issues is they often intersect, which means that if we're gonna talk about how to tackle homelessness, we probably also need to investigate why people don't make a lot of money at their jobs, which might be related to how much education they're able to get, which might be related to their legal status in this country or their status as an immigrant. And it also might be related to, those issues all might be related to, can you afford food? Can you afford healthcare? And so we each come, like I said, with a diversity of interests around different justice issues, but I think there's ways that we can all collaborate and work together towards a more just world when we recognize that all justice issues are interconnected and there's a lot of work to be done in all of those areas.
So what we want you all to think about in the next coming week is, what issues are you really passionate about that like really get you feeling fired up and make you really angry that this kind of thing is happening, and what are the experiences that you've had that contribute to that, so that we can really dig into those together, and that we can hear from you before, so that when we're planning the week, we're really planning it together, that we want to put the power in your hands to help us create this experience so that we're doing it together as a team and as a unit.
Great.
Any closing thoughts from you? Oh, I forgot to cover Micah 6:8 earlier. I can actually share that if you wanted to, because you were going to incorporate that in your closing thoughts too.
Absolutely.
Um,
So our work is based on our faith tradition, our Christian practices. And so during the course of the week, we are also going to think about Micah Chapter 6. I think this is a really beautiful piece that gives us something to think about. And Micah is this Old Testament prophet who's speaking at times of great inequality in the world and talking about what is it that God expects of us. And my favorite part of this is just that last verse, verse 8. He has told you, O mortal, what is good, and what does the Lord require of you, but to do justice and to love kindness and to walk humbly with God. And so over the course of our time together, we'll explore a little bit about what it means to really do justice. What does that mean? How can we be people who love kindness? And then what is it going to take from us to walk humbly on our faith journey alongside God? And so I leave you tonight with just a moment of meditation on that particular topic. As we go into our week together, please know that we will spend time thinking about how our actions in this world create justice, about how the things that we say and do to the people around us create loving kindness, and how we have the capacity to be exemplars of walking humbly with God through our lives.
Beautiful.
Amen.
Thank you for that. And thanks for being here, Lillian. Do you have any questions for us while you're here? No? Cool. All right. Well, we'll be sending a link to this video coming up, and we'll be checking back in and sending out a survey for everybody to fill out. And then we'll gather for the first time on Monday, the 13th, July 13th. And I'm really looking forward to that.
Cool. Looking forward to seeing you guys there.
Yay. Bye, Lillian.